BP oil well in Gulf of Mexico declared dead. So they say. The well is dead, or is it? A permanent cement plug has sealed BP's well nearly 2.5 miles below the seafloor in the Gulf of Mexico. 5 agonizing months after an explosion sank a drilling rig and led to the worst offshore oil spill in U.S. history. Retired Coast Guard Admiral Thad Allen, the federal government's point man on the disaster, said on Sunday BP's well is effectively dead and supposedly poses no further threat to the Gulf. Allen said a pressure test to ensure the cement plug would hold was completed at 5:54 a.m. Central Daylight Time. But in reality, in truth, it's not really dead, because it's still leaking or seeping up from the seafloor all around the blown-out Macondo well. The gusher was contained in mid-July after a temporary cap was successfully fitted atop the well. Mud and cement were later pushed down to the top of the well, allowing the cap to be removed. But the oil well could not be declared dead until a relief well was drilled, so that the ruptured well could be sealed from the bottom, ensuring it never, theoretically, causes a problem again. But it is causing a problem, because it's still seeping up from the seabed or the seafloor, and could be going on for a very long time. The relief well intersected the blown-out well on Thursday, and crews started pumping in the cement on Friday. The April 20th blast killed 11 workers, and at least 207 million gallons of oil have spewed into the Gulf of Mexico. The massive disaster caused an environmental and economic nightmare for people who live, work, and play along hundreds and hundreds of miles of Gulf shoreline from Florida to Texas. It also spurred civil and criminal investigations, cost gaffe-prone BP chief Tony Hayward his job, and brought increased governmental scrutiny of the oil and gas industry, including a costly moratorium on deepwater offshore drilling that is still in place. Gulf residents will be feeling the pain for many years to come. There is still plenty of oil in the water, and some continues to wash up on shore. Many people are still struggling to make ends meet, with some waters still closed to fishing. Shrimpers who are allowed to fish are finding it very difficult to sell their catch because of the perception, largely from people outside the region, that the seafood is not safe to eat. Tourism along the Gulf has also taken a big hit. The disaster also has taken a toll on the once mighty oil giant BP plc. The British company's stock price took a nosedive after the explosion, although it has recovered somewhat. Its image as a steward of the environment was stained, and its stated commitment to safety was challenged. Owners of BP-branded gas stations in the U.S. were hit with lost sales as customers protested at the pump. And on the financial side, BP has already shelled out some $9.5 billion in cleanup costs, and the company has promised to set aside another $20 billion for a victims' compensation fund. The company could face tens of billions of dollars more in government fines and legal costs from hundreds of pending lawsuits. BP took some of the blame for the Gulf oil disaster in an internal report issued earlier this month, acknowledging, among other things, that its workers misinterpreted a key pressure test of the whale, but in a possible preview of its legal strategy. It also pointed the finger at its partners on the doomed oil rig. British Petroleum was the majority owner of the whale that blew out, and it was leasing the rig that exploded from owner Transocean Limited. And again, the oil is still leaking, or rather seeping, up from the seabed or the seafloor, all around the blown-out whale. In other words, no, it's not really over yet. It could be seeping up from the seafloor for a very long time. Years, decades, perhaps even generations. And it's dissolving at the source. And all these are more signs. Ezekiel chapter 13, verse 19. And will ye pollute me among my people for handfuls of barley, for pieces of bread or money? 2. Slay the souls that should not die, and to save the souls alive that should not live, by your lying to my people that hear your lies. 20. Wherefore, thus saith the Lord God Almighty, behold, I am against your pillows, wherewith you there hunt the souls to make them fly, and I will tear them from your arms, and will let the souls go, even the souls that you hunt to make them fly. Revelation chapter 8. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. 2. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before God, and to them were given 7 trumpets. 3. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, but he should offer it with the prayers of all saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. 4. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. 5. And the angel took the censer, and filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices, and thunderings, and lightnings, and an earthquake. 6. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. 7. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. 8. And the second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became as blood. Revelation chapter 16. And I heard a great voice out of the temple, saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth. 2. And the first went, and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the humans which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. 3. And the second angel poured out his vial upon the sea, and it became as the blood of a dead man, and every living soul died in the sea. 4. And the third angel poured out his vial upon the rivers and fountains of waters, and they became as blood. And yes, the Deepwater Horizon oil spill is a physical manifestation of the book of Revelation. Still, and all these are more signs of the end times transition days, which is a continuing day by day process. And there are many signs